Hey, welcome to the Evolve to Win show. We're going to talk today about procrastination. And I don't know what your definition is of procrastination, but this is my favorite one. Procrastination is simply failure to get started, or it's you either can't begin something or you can't continue and follow through and get something done, right? So I want you to think about where in your life right now you are procrastinating. I have had so many clients share with me the struggles that they're having, and they feel now like it's more than they're used to. And for good reason. Not everybody has a challenge of procrastinating. First of all, I want you to know that. So I think most people think that other people think the way they do, and that's not true. So there are a certain group of us who really struggle with procrastination, who struggle. We know what we want to do, we know what we need to do, but we just cannot get started or cannot follow through. So if you fall into that camp, you know who you are. And I want to give you just a couple of exercises that you can do that literally can take you out of that state of feeling completely stopped, get you into action so that you can begin to feel progress. And we do not feel successful until we're in motion or we're in progress toward whatever goal it is that we're after. So first thing that you can do is just have an awareness of where you have not started something. So I want you to make a list of things that you know you want to do, but you haven't been able to get started yet. So that list can be personal or it can be professional. And I recommend that you consider doing both. So it could be related to, you know what, I'd really like to go out and get some exercise, but I've been struggling to get it done. And if that's you and you've struggled in the past as well, and maybe had different kinds of reasons why you haven't gotten to it, I want you to just know that it's okay. It's not your fault. Like you haven't realized yet that you're stopped because of procrastination, not because of whatever the activity is. So what's missing for you there is decision. Procrastination is nothing more than failure to make a decision. Okay. So if you haven't done something, it only means that you haven't decided to do it. Now, why do we know that we will have something to do and we don't decide to do it? I think one of the biggest challenges that people face is that we make it into this big, huge goal or result that we're after instead of the super simple next step. So I want you to really think about that. Have you ever been guilty of this? So I've got one client who runs a very successful law firm out on the West Coast. And his biggest issue is he cannot keep his desk cleared off enough to maintain his focus and be as productive as he can be. So things start to kind of pile up. Well, he wants to have an entire week to just organize his life, to just organize his office, to get everything put where it needs to be put and do all the different projects to get rid of paper and scan things and all these other things. And so what he thinks about is this big, perfect ideal of what needs to be done. Well, he doesn't actually have to do all that. He doesn't actually have to take a week off. So what I got him very clear on is I said, okay, what would 5 minutes do for you right now? And he said, what do you mean? I said, what would 5 minutes of completely focused effort on getting your desk cleared off? Like, what would that look like? So we actually did it together. I literally set my timer for 5 minutes. I'm like, I'll do it with you. And for 5 minutes, we just went at it. Now, my desk is already cleared off because I can't function without a clear desk, but I went and organized some books that were kind of stacking up, like books like falling out of my bookshelf. And in 5 minutes time, he was blown away by the fact that he had a completely clear desk space. He had actually made a couple of piles that made sense for him. And he was then ready to get into action and ready to face the day. So I want you to consider this. Do what he did. Instead of making your result the end all be all and your entire focus, get clear on the result that you're after, for sure. But I don't want you to think about that. After you create it, leave it, and just ask yourself this one question. What is the next step? What is the first step that I have to take? And then just make a decision that you're going to take that one step, just that little baby step, like Bob Wiley says, right? Take that one step, get into action, and just see what happens and see how good that feels. Most oftentimes, it's that first step that makes the biggest difference. And then people tend to like feel good enough after having done that step that they take the next step and the next step. Now, don't worry about that. I really only want you to worry about the first step. So as an example, I recently got a Peloton back in February. Oh my gosh, the timing on that was absolutely just amazing. So glad I have it. And so I've been doing rides really, really consistently. And like consistency for me in exercise is not always there. I'm good at playing tennis, but when it comes to just doing exercise, not so much. So for me, literally every single day, I just say I'm going to do something, and I make a decision on when that something is, whether it's a bike ride, whether it's an upper body workout, lower body, whatever it is. There's all kinds of different opportunities on that app to do different kinds of exercise. So that's the only thing I do in a day when it comes to exercise. I decide the one thing. Now, I can always do more, but I've got to do the one thing. And as stupid as this sounds, and I know as I say it out loud, it sounds so stupid. Peloton actually has this calendar that they show you. And every single day on that calendar, if you do something, you get a dot that's filled in. I know, ridiculous. So the last 2 months, I had a series of dots and then I had a blank space. And for me, like, that's just a killer. Like, why couldn't I just do something? So I don't know what it is for you. Is there some sort of visual that you need to see to help keep you moving forward, to help keep you going with consistency? For whatever reason, it makes a difference for me. But the biggest difference is making the decision. You can't make the decision until you know what you haven't done. So again, go back to that list that I mentioned. Make a list of the things that you have not been able to get started. Okay, so that's one list. Then there's probably a second list that would be super beneficial. So what are the projects that you haven't yet completed? So those of us who struggle with procrastination also happen to struggle with follow through. And again, this is not everyone. This is unique to just special people, I suppose. So what haven't you been able to get started? What haven't you been able to get finished? And then all I want you to do next to each entry is to write down the very next step. And that's it. Now, of course, you then need to prioritize which ones you're committed to, because if you're a procrastinator and you are truly a pro at procrastinating, then chances are good that list is going to be pretty long. So you get to choose now. How do you prioritize this? Do you prioritize it based on how long that item has been on your list? Do you prioritize it by how frustrating that thing on your list is making you? Like, how frustrated are you? You get to choose how to prioritize. The thing that I care about most for you is that you start checking some things off that list by getting into action and just doing the next step, the very next step. That's all you have to worry about. So let me know if you've got other strategies that you use to help you battle that procrastination. Let me know what they are. I'm always looking for good material. And I hope you find this helpful. If you know somebody who happens to be a procrastinator and you think they need to hear this, please feel free to share it. Thanks so much for tuning in.